DeWanna Bonner? More like DeWanna Bounce. Because that's exactly what she did. Bailed on her team like a diva denied her spotlight. What we just witnessed is peak unprofessionalism, folks. A meltdown of epic proportions from a so-called veteran presence who was supposed to guide the Indiana Fever to a new era, only to peace out the second things didn't go her way. She bombed her opening games, got benched, and instead of lacing up and grinding, she ran for the hills like it was recess and she didn't want to play anymore. Let's not sugarcoat this. Bonner clearly thought she was walking into a soft landing spot, a cozy little franchise where she could put her feet up, ride the Caitlin Clark hype train, and snag another season's check without breaking a sweat. What she got instead was a team that's all gas, no brakes, fueled by fire, intensity, and the most electric player in recent memory. What Bonner didn't realize is that you don't just show up and get handed minutes. You have to earn them, especially when the stakes are this high. When Bonner inked that deal back in February, she must have imagined a laid-back season playing sidekick to the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. But what she walked into was a squad that had undergone a total transformation. Thanks to Clark, Indiana isn't just another WNBA team. They're the show. Every game's a headline, every possession magnified, every play under a microscope. Bonner wasn't ready for that kind of intensity. She thought she'd ease into the spotlight, but it turns out the heat was way too much. DeWanna Bonner signs a free agent contract with the Indiana Fever, and after a handful of games, once a Fever exit, apparently. And that is a strange situation, right? Because she was embraced, she had her achievement at the beginning of the season, moving up the scoring ranks. They were referring to her as Mama Bear in training camp, and now all of a sudden that has fallen apart. She was out of the starting lineup, hadn't really produced that much, particularly on the offensive end, and this, looks poor on the franchise when it comes to the free agent moves in retrospect, that the team that they put together in the all-season. I don't think it reflects well on DeWanna Bonner, whose absence was for quote-unquote personal reasons, but now it seems like she was just upset with the team and the situation overall, and it adds more drama to what has been a drama-filled season for Caitlin Clark. From the jump, it was crystal clear she didn't have it. Her stat line from the first 3 games: a staggering 2.6 points per game while shooting a dreadful 2 of 12. That's not a veteran presence, that's a ghost in a jersey. So Coach Stephanie White did what any coach with eyes and a clipboard would do. She pulled the plug, benched her, gave those minutes to Lexie Hull, a player with hunger, hustle, and something to prove. That her minutes had significantly dropped from last year. Well, in turn, if her minutes drop, a lot of her production numbers that she can see and the rest of the league can see also dropped with it. Look, she's just like Natasha Howard. She looks old on the court. All right, not trying to be this is not ageism. She looks like an older athlete. All right, she looks slower on the court, and the team has been lacking energy. It's been a serious problem. Seriously, long overdue. Let her go to the place where she feels she would be the best. And how did Bonner take it? Gracefully? Professionally? Not even close. She responded like a kid who got benched in Youth Rec League. Instead of staying and competing, she threw a tantrum, figuratively of course, and asked for a trade. The official reason? It wasn't the right fit. Translation: I'm not used to not being the center of the universe. Bonner didn't just leave the starting lineup. She left the whole building. Here's where it gets extra embarrassing. She didn't stick around to support her teammates, didn't show up for 5 straight games, citing personal reasons. Let's call it what it is. Her ego got bruised, and she couldn't handle it. It wasn't about family emergencies or off-court stress. It was about pride. She couldn't stomach the idea that she wasn't the top dog anymore, not when Clark was right there electrifying crowds and changing the league. This goes deeper than stats or playing time. This is about character, and Bonner's character didn't just crack, it collapsed. She was supposed to be the veteran leader who helped this young roster weather the storm of stardom. But the moment the spotlight got hot, she vanished. It wasn't just the pressure that broke her. It was the realization that Caitlin Clark had already stolen the narrative. That fans weren't chanting her name, that jersey sales weren't moving because of her. That she was a side note, not the headline. The envy? obvious, the drama, peak petty. She spent her career flying under the radar, on successful teams, sure, but in the shadows. Now, all of a sudden she's in the eye of a cultural movement, and she choked. Bonner couldn't handle the fact that every ticket, every camera, every trending moment belonged to a 23-year-old sophomore who's done more for women's basketball in 6 months than Bonner managed in over a decade. But let's zoom out because Bonner's tantrum is just a symptom. The real issue, the old guard of the WNBA, the veterans who've gotten a little too comfortable. For years, they played for crowds smaller than their own families and a media presence that barely noticed. Then Caitlin Clark shows up, and everything changes. She's not just raising the bar, she's blowing it to pieces. The league's never been this visible, this hyped, this mainstream. But instead of rallying around that momentum, some of these veterans treated it like an invasion, a threat to their legacy, a shake-up to their safe space. And Bonner? She wasn't just rattled, she was exposed. The so-called old guard in the WNBA simply couldn't stomach that someone so young, so electrifying, and so marketable was rejuvenating their league after years in the doldrums. They couldn't handle the fact that all their tenure and hard work meant zero compared to a sophomore catapulting into the sports spotlight. So, predictably, they resorted to what insecure people do best, attempting to tear down the one making them look stale. Anybody with any intuition could sort of see that this was getting odd. The amount of time that she had missed, with no explanation as to why, no timeline on her return, not making the road trip, all of these things, the lack of information, the basic mystery would be enough to get anybody's spidey sense tingling about this situation. But on top of that, I'll tell you this much, I heard that it was more basketball related than anything else, of DeWanna Bonner, who should have symbolized the bridge between the league's past and its new superstar era, chose instead to align herself with the critics. She turned into a full-blown toddler, throwing a months-long tantrum when she realized she wasn't going to start regularly for the Fever. Ultimately, she bailed on the team entirely. A 37-year-old behaving like she just got cut from her junior high squad is truly astonishing. Now, let's dissect where this fallen athlete is allegedly trying to land next, because that list alone tells you everything you need to know about her mindset. Reports suggest she wants to head back to the Phoenix Mercury, where she spent 10 quiet seasons. Basically, she's running back to where the spotlight wasn't blinding, and she wasn't challenged to actually mean something. Another rumor has her aiming for the Atlanta Dream, a team with players like Brittany Griner, who famously dissed Caitlin Clark after a game. In short, she's choosing to side with WNBA's negative energy instead of riding the wave of progress, influence, and transformation. But then she goes and issues a statement thanking the Fever as if she's conducting herself with grace. Please. It's like setting fire to someone's house and then sending a thank you card for the flames. You don't get to abandon your teammates, vanish for weeks, and then pretend you're the one taking the high road, espousing class and gratitude while hanging your team out to dry. Here's the delightful irony. The Indiana Fever are better for it. Removing a disruptive personality who couldn't handle the pressure of being part of something consequential was a net win. They replaced Bonner with someone who actually wants to contribute, thrives on the energy, and will build the team rather than tear it down. Enter Ari McDonald, the polar opposite of Bonner in every way. McDonald joined the Fever on a hardship contract earlier this season and immediately said, "I'm here to fight." Her stat line, 11 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals in just 3 games. She didn't have time for attitude, just hustle. She instantly became an Indiana fan favorite, playing defense like a dog on a bone and injecting enthusiasm into every moment of the game. McDonald didn't act entitled. She was thankful for the shot she'd been given. That's a stark contrast to Bonner's teenage meltdown. Free McDonald back, that's good business. Glad she's back. I knew she was waiting. After all those hardship contracts were being signed by different players or different teams, I was like, man, look, Ari, not on a team yet. She's coming. McDonald's journey is worthy of a Hollywood underdog plot. She was cut from the LA Sparks in training camp, found herself teamless, and could have given up. Instead, she saw something special happening in Indy, something she wanted to be a part of. Although my time with the team was brief, it immediately felt like the place to be, she said upon re-signing. That's genuine ownership of a role. Meanwhile, Bonner's parting shot? The fit didn't work out. That's the difference between embracing growth and running from discomfort. The Fever's COO and GM, Amber Cox, said it best. From the moment she arrived in Indy, Aerie was a clear fit with the style and mentality we are building. That sentence hits hard because it cuts right through the Bonner drama. She didn't share that mentality of toughness and dedication. The Fever aren't building around comfort. They're forging a culture of excellence and accountability. And let's talk about Natasha Howard, the other veteran brought in alongside Bonner. Her reaction has spoken volumes. She dropped some cryptic tweets here and there, but the key thing? She stuck around. She didn't disappear or demand a trade. She battled for her role, backed her teammates, and stayed the course, doing exactly what a professional leader does. When comparing Howard and Bonner, the contrast couldn't be starker. Both arrived with expectations of guiding this squad, but only one actually lived up to her title of veteran leader. The other just became the poster child for entitlement and regression in the face of evolving team dynamics. Let's take a step back. The WNBA has spent literal decades striving for relevance, fighting for airtime, pushing for fan engagement, and working tirelessly to build legitimacy. Then Caitlin Clark stormed in like a comet, filling arenas, smashing viewership records, and ultimately capturing the public's attention in ways the league had only dreamed of. The proper response would have been welcome and celebration. But instead, the nervous old guard practically melted, and Bonner dove headfirst into the mess. Here's what's maddening. Bonner had the chance to be part of something historic. She had the opportunity to mentor a generational talent, help guide a young superstar to her first title, and co-lead a franchise that's becoming the talk of the league. But she chose otherwise. By walking away, she signaled that winning, legacy, and evolution weren't worth the discomfort. And the Fever's swift pivot to McDonald sends a loud message to the rest of the league. If you're not built for greatness, there's someone else ready to take your place. Teams are watching, agents are watching, players are watching. And the message is clear. Bring value, bring heart, or you're out. If you're unwilling to fight for your role or to embrace the seismic shift Caitlin Clark has brought to the WNBA, then there are dozens waiting in line to take your spot, even if they went undrafted. The Fever's quick move to replace Bonner with McDonald sends a clear message to the rest of the league. If you can't handle the pressure of being part of greatness, there are plenty of players who can. If you're not willing to fight for your spot, there are players who will appreciate the opportunity. If you're going to prioritize your feelings over team success, there's the door.